And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, I did switch it up a little bit. I know I said I was going to look at the playoff games that were going to happen tonight. I'm going to do that as well as acknowledge that Steph Curry has just been awarded Clutch Player of the Year for the NBA. It's a new award. Well, not. It's relatively new, I should say. They only started handing out this award like a year ago or like a few years ago, and Steph Curry he ended up winning Clutch Player of the Year award. This was obviously like his first ever Clutch Player of the Year award that he won, and I'm just looking at the list. Yeah, exactly. There were only two times that Clutch Player of the Year was even rewarded. And the first time was literally last year when it was De'Aaron Fox, who was having a phenomenal season with the Kings. But now, Steph Curry, he ends up winning the Clutch Player of the Year award. So this is like, since it is pretty recently, this has been, excuse me, this has sort of been the argument to support the notion that Steph Curry hits a lot of clutch shots and he is a clutch basketball player, because there is a why do the hiccups just attack me all the time? There is a stipulation around Steph surrounding his clutch shots, his shot selection, as well as his ability to knock down shots late in games, in the fourth quarter, in playoff games, things like that. And obviously, like when you win Clutch Player of the Year, it for the moment it sort of like removes that the bias that a lot of the fans have about you, saying that oh, you're not a clutch player, because this award, it sort of shows that you are indeed a clutch player in the NBA, especially like to win this award. And a lot of the Curry fans, they're using this as sort of like an excuse as to, or a reason to argue that Steph Curry is a clutch player. And he might have been a clutch player this season, which like obviously like he was, but overall and throughout his career, that's sort of been a different story. And I don't want this Clutch Player of the Year award to be a narrative in the future that a lot of the media uses to justify a player being clutch and a player hitting these important shots, because one of the big stipulations for his lack of being clutch are the performances in the postseason, which there's a lot of them that Steph Curry has, where he sort of just doesn't really he doesn't hit as many like important shots as the team really expects, and he's never really been that kind of player to hit those important shots in those high leverage games. He can do that in the regular season, sure, but in those big games where you really need them, it's not like he's known for those kind of moments. Because remember how in 2015, where the Golden State Warriors, they only won because Kyrie suffered an injury to his kneecap and LeBron had to play with a very weak lineup. Then in 2016, he was missing shots that we saw him hit all season long. 2017, 2018, he was a distant third best player behind LeBron and Kevin Durant. 2019, he ended up blowing a wide open three, which had the chance to tie the game and even send the game into overtime, maybe even win the game for the Golden State Warriors, but he ended up missing. Then he ended up scoring 0 points in an overtime do-or-die game against the Memphis Grizzlies. Not to mention how he... someone just dropped their phone outside. Not to mention how he couldn't make a clutch basket against the Lakers last year when they played in the second round. And Steph Curry hasn't even won a playoff game without Klay Thompson. So there's a lot of these moments that there's a lot more moments where Steph Curry isn't really reliable in the fourth, more so than there's moments where he is. But this season was a little bit of a difference, and hopefully that doesn't really play into the summary of his entire career. And obviously I'm not trying to while I am trying to sort of I am talking down on Steph, but I'm talking down really on his career and more so on what the fans are trying to like portray and what the fans have been saying about his game and what they think about it. So it's really like it's more so that I'm talking down on like the media takes behind Steph as opposed to Steph himself, because I really do think that he deserves this award over a lot of the players that could have been selected for this award. And regardless, like it's really like it's really important for someone like Steph to sort of have this award, because then a lot of people can be like, oh, but he has a clutch player of the year, so it's like it's an important like highlight to his it's an important highlight and an important accolade to his legacy, given how he has that reputation where he's not a very good performer in the fourth. So it's like having that award there is proof of the hardware, I guess you could say. And not only that, saying that he has that award and LeBron doesn't have that award is just another thing that you can give in the comparisons. Even though, like, we all know, like, who's the more clutch player, LeBron doesn't have the hardware to really prove it, like how Curry has the hardware to prove it. And obviously, in these awards, like, they're just awards, like, for the regular season, and they don't really, like, have much. I guess you could say they're somewhat filler, because again, this award was literally just introduced last year. So it's more so filler, and it's just like to acknowledge a player that had a really good regular season and was really important to them. So it's not. I'm not trying to talk down on Steph or his game, but I do not agree with the notion that this award immediately nullifies him and all of the not so clutch situations that he's had in his career. But going off of those games, I did say that I was going to do a preview of all the playoff games that are going to happen tonight. So I'll go ahead and do that. I just wanted to like change that up because I just realized, oh, the clutch player of the year was announced and it was Steph. So the next playoff game that's going to happen is going to happen at 5:30 on ESPN. It's the Bucks going up against the Pacers, and obviously, like I've said before, that this series could really go either way. It could go to 7 games, despite the fact that the Bucks don't have Giannis. I do think that this is going to be a really tough task to sort of steal a game in Indiana after the embarrassing loss that they had at home. And it's going to ask a lot from Dame, and you got to ask a lot from the rest of the players to sort of like step up and hope to God that Giannis comes back for maybe Game 6 or Game 7, however many elimination games that you need, if he even can. And that's really going to be like the question for this series. Can the Bucks close out? And if they can't, can they steal a game in the hopes that they can make the series go on a little bit longer until Giannis gets here or until they end up winning a game at home? So again, this series, like a lot of different scenarios can play in. The Pacers, they are the favorite to win this game because, like, obviously, like being a home team immediately just makes you a favorite in the postseason, and it's going to be a really difficult task for the Bucks to keep the series alive in hopes that Giannis can come back. Next game is the Mavs against the Clippers. So the Mavs, they surprised the Clippers by ending up by beating them in the last game, 96-93. So they're going to go into Dallas, and obviously it's expected that they're going to come out winning given how they just won an away game. But with the Clippers, now that they have Kawhi, I feel like that puts another factor into the game that I wasn't really thinking about because I didn't think that they would have Kawhi this early in the series. So now anyone can win in these home or in these away games. And given how the series played last time, I don't want to count anyone out just yet, and I don't want to say that the Mavericks are going to win out these final home games. like how I did last year, because last year, like I said, okay, the Mavericks, they come out 2-0 after playing 2 away games. They're going to win the next 2 games at home easily, but that ended up being the exact opposite. They didn't win a single home game in that entire series. And, like, I'm not going to, like, leave anything off of the table for this Clippers team. I feel like this series as well is going to go to 7 games, as well as the Bucks and Pacers series. Now, for the Timberwolves and the Suns series, I think this is going to go to 6 games instead of 7. I haven't really seen enough from Devin Booker or Bradley Beal to sort of say that they have what it takes to compete in the in this very big game. And it's really like it's really sad to see how they've regressed despite all of the big market moves that they've been making to try and make their team relevant now that they sort of have that relevancy once again. And obviously it's like you have to I have to like see it. And so far I haven't really seen it from Devin Booker or Bradley Beal. Especially like what really doesn't help Bradley Beal is now that he put a bunch more pressure on himself, saying like, oh, it's winning time now. And now it's like, okay, now it's winning time and now you're not winning, so it's like what gives? So I feel like this series is going to go to 6 games if the Phoenix Suns don't end up but like they have to win out both of these games. And otherwise it's just going to be the exact same story last year where they split the season series, then they lost 1 game, but then they were going into game 6 expecting to win that game and force a game 7, but they end up losing at home in embarrassing fashion. And with this Suns team and how they've been disappointing, it's like it's really difficult to sort of see their trajectory go in a different way for this season, given their recent struggles. So that's basically all I have to say about this about the 4th segment. That's the Clutch Player of the Year. Those are the playoff matchups that are going to happen tonight, and that's basically it for this show and this segment. So thank you for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your support means a lot to us, so please remember to subscribe to the show and to leave a positive review. It really does make a difference. We also invite you to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. And as usual, please remember to leave a comment in using the link in the description or the link displayed below the ticker on every show segment to get your comments recognized in the link. That is gsmcspodcast.net. Really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself and you guys. Once again, the link is gsmcspodcast.net. And that is basically it for the show. Thank you all once again. I am your host, Nelson, and as always, take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.